This is Our News, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight, more drama at Bahamas Power and Light as the company hit with another fire, this time at its Blue Hills power station. Plus, the suspect believed to be behind the murder of Inspector Carlos Blatch to face a magistrate tomorrow. And the NEMA director reiterates the need for mandatory evacuations.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping the news, another fire at Bahamas Power and Light, leaving more consumers in the dark overnight. Some BPL customers in portions of southwestern New Providence reporting that they were left without electricity for up to 12 hours. This as an investigation is launched into what caused this latest blaze. Our Kyle Joaquin was on the scene and tells us more.
Now, this is the fourth fire over a period of 8 days. There were 3 at BPL's Clifton Pier Power Plant, and now this one here at the Blue Hills Power Plant. Tonight, we spoke with Chief Superintendent Walter Evans.
From the indication that we have not a generator, we understand it's a distribution center, and that area is responsible for several areas under Providence.
And that's why Chief Superintendent Walter Evans says many residents of southwestern New Providence were plunged into darkness from Saturday night to Sunday morning. After firefighters battled 3 blazes at BPL's Clifton Pier Power Plant, police got the call that there was yet another fire, but not at Clifton this time.
When we arrived at the BPL power plant station, this is the Blue Hills station, we met smoke coming from an area which they have referred to as the distribution center. And the fire right now is still ongoing, however, it's not at a level where we need to be concerned for the remainder of the plant.
While on scene late Saturday night, we noticed 2 Agreco workers. Agreco provides the rental generators BPL has been utilizing for the past few years. They didn't wish to speak on camera, but told us they were there to check on their engines. Firefighters battled the blaze for over 4 hours. Now, despite this being the 4th fire for BPL in just over a week, Evans insists this is not sabotage.
Again, we said at this point we do not suspect. We do not suspect that at this point. And again, an investigation will be carried out to determine that, BPL staff members, and they have several of their professionals who are here, they're working closely with us to ensure that, and they've advised us, as to what is really happening as best as they can. And so for that reason, with the cooperation of the BPL staff members who are here, we do not suspect anything untoward, and of course in the area where this incident did take place. But of course, as I said, once an investigation has been completed, it will give the findings. So I did say we do not suspect anything at this point.
But with BPL customers feeling the pinch, we asked what then could be the cause of this and the other fires.
We do not suspect anything with any underlying issues. But it may be just a matter of where we believe that it's because of the amount of the power load. That is a possibility. But in terms of, and that we will have to determine that, but we do not suspect anything suspicious in this matter.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
All right, thanks a lot, Kyle. Well, traffic police here in the capital investigating a double traffic fatality after a male and female pedestrian were both struck and killed. The incident occurred shortly before 1 a.m. Sunday. According to reports, the driver of a 2010 Toyota vehicle was driving north on Marathon Road in the vicinity of Savannah Drive. That's when the driver reportedly lost control of the vehicle and struck the 2 pedestrians who died on the scene. Our news understands that the driver who remained on the scene is a law enforcement officer. More details will be made available as traffic police continue their investigations. Meantime, police on Grand Bahama are investigating the death of a woman after she was discovered hanging in a home. Police say they were called to a residence in Malibu Reef shortly before 6 p.m. Saturday, where they met the woman's body hanging. Now, police say an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Well, police will close the books on the murder investigation of Inspector Carlos Blach, as the suspect believed to be behind the senseless killing is expected to be arraigned in the magistrate's court tomorrow. Now, police say a 48-year-old man will be charged with murder in connection to the death of Inspector Blach, who was killed back on Wednesday. Blach, who was the aide-de-camp to the Governor General, was picking up his son from H.O. Nash Junior School when he was ordered out of his car by a gunman. The assailant then shot him as his young daughter looked on from the back seat of his blue Hyundai Elantra. The gunman then made off with the vehicle, but not before Blach's daughter was able to escape unharmed and call for help. The police officer of 23 years was taken to hospital, where he later died. Police say the arraignment will take place tomorrow at 1 p.m. Well, Police Inspector Carlos Blach is being remembered by members of his church family in the wake of his death. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
Procton Patton and his friend of 9 years, Inspector Carlos Blach, were doing the same thing on Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m.
When I got the call, I was on my way to pick up my daughter from school.
That call was to let Patton know that Inspector Blach, aide-de-camp to Governor General Dame Marguerite Pinling, had been shot while picking his son up from H.O. Nash Junior School.
Hearing the news, it paralyzed me. I couldn't believe it or comprehend it, what I was hearing. So I told them to check and give me a call again. They did that, and I got overwhelmed as relates to hearing the news because of the type of person he was.
Blach was an active member of New Birth Deliverance Kingdom Ministries, where Patton serves as senior pastor. A police officer of 29 years himself, Patton says he related well with Blach, a 23-year veteran in his own right.
He was loyal, if I could use that word, loyal to the job. He was loyal to New Birth Deliverance Kingdom Ministries. And I must say, Carlos Blach served faithfully at this ministry.
Blach's role in the church included running the media and music department, as well as overseeing the maintenance of the church, a job Patton says he did with pride. Another fellow law enforcement officer, Deacon Warren Davis, worked closely with Blach at church and recalls the empty feeling he had when he heard of his death.
I got lost, even for words, even to know and to fathom something like this happened to one of my fellow law enforcement agents and a church member. Him being a minister at this church, he has proven to us who he is, how he loved God, how he served God. Like a pastor said, you know, Sunday was a special day to us to see Carlos Blach sing out. We know he can do this. You know, when he comes to church, he do what he has to do. And listen to me, that man is a man of God.
And when it comes to ministry, I must say Carlos Blach, he bring his children to church because he believed in the God in whom he served. And he wanted his children to know the God in whom he served. So they was very much a part of the ministry as well.
Procton says as police officers, they put their lives on the line. He says he takes joy in knowing that Blach was a man with love in his heart.
Police officer job is a one that you can never give him or her enough thanks for, because it is hours upon hours. And not only that, we have to leave our family at home. We have to go on the street not knowing that if we will return again to see our loved ones. So it's a job that you can never say thank you enough, because we are responsible for keeping this nation safe. And the beauty about it, Carlos was not just a police officer, but far as what I know, Carlos knew the Lord in a personal way.
Blach, 45, leaves behind 4 children. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks a lot, Jared. In other news this evening, more than a year after the National Emergency Management Agency evacuated hundreds of Family Island residents who were in the direct path of Hurricane Irma last year, NEMA Director Captain Stephen Russell says evacuations must be made mandatory across the Bahamas. Our Jasmine Brown has that report.
What was the first for us was the evacuation of persons from our islands, okay? And when you evacuate not just persons, you're evacuating the leadership from the island as well as essential services. Like for example, in Nago, the power company shut down even though half of the persons remain on the island. So when we evacuating an island, we are going to evacuate the whole island and not just leave some persons.
Russell's response came after he was asked about the lessons that were learned during the 2017 hurricane season. According to NEMA statistics, approximately 2,000 people were evacuated days before powerful Category 5 Hurricane Irma made landfall. After hundreds of Bahamians failed to heed the government's plea to evacuate the southern Bahamas ahead of the storm last September, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis insisted his administration intends to table a mandatory evacuation bill in the House of Assembly. To date, no legislation has been tabled. However, Russell says that it is still a major concern as many choose to ride out the storm.
We're grappling with how best to respond to these things here. Okay, you leave your emergency responders in harm's way because 3 or 4 persons refuse to leave an island. Okay, the issue of mandatory evacuations that has to come in play at some point in time. Again, that's a legislative decision. You have to make it mandatory that a person's refusing to leave a district when we know a major hazard is approaching. Okay, let's sign a document that I certify that I will remain here. You've seen the news where persons from Ragged Island saying they're not going to leave next time, okay, if the government tells them to leave. Again, I said common sense must prevail. If a Category 4 or 5 storm is coming your way, catastrophic results that can occur, why would you try to remain on the island? The idea is to get out of harm's way and then do your battle thereafter, okay?
Russell says the fact of the matter is evacuations need to be mandatory if there is any hope of improving evacuation plans. Additionally, he says the government also has to look at securing additional shelter space to support people who are evacuated.
We were most fortunate last year when we brought near 2,000 persons from 5 or more islands into the capital, that they were able to stay with relatives and loved ones here or go into private hotel properties. We were only able to, not able to, but we only had to cater to 155 persons, which is a plus for us. But again, if the full 2,000 persons or near 2,000 persons who came to the capital had to depend on our services to support them, it may have been a strain, but I'm quite sure we would have raised to the level where we could have catered to the 200 or more persons.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And we will take our first break here, but still ahead tonight. The country's #1 tertiary institution extends a helping hand to government in its national development initiatives. Plus, 3 Eleuthera students team up to do their part to save Lighthouse Point. Those stories and more coming up when Our News returns.